for innocent-looking videos with disturbing backstories.
1986. On December 29, 1986, NBC7 San Diego aired a segment on highway safety offering tips on what to do in case your car breaks down.
If your car should become disabled, the rule of thumb is stay inside. There are signs you can get to put on the back
How many of y'all remember 1986? Good times. I ain't gonna fake it. Good times.
window to summon for help. If strangers should offer assistance, tell them to call police or the CHP.
Just stay in the vehicle, lock all the doors, turn on the emergency flashers, and wait for help to come. Even if you have to wait all night, it's better to be in the safety of your vehicle and spend the night than to try to walk and get assistance.
Yeah, 86.
The segment also featured a ride-along interview with California Highway Patrol Officer Craig Peyer, who emphasized the dangers of leaving your car and blindly trusting others.
Anything can happen. Being a female, you could be robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed. Once you get in that other person's car, you're at their mercy.
This broadcast concluded with an interview with a driver who ran out of gas. He had pulled over on the highway and set out on foot to find a nearby gas station.
The bottom line, though, is that preventing all this trouble is easy. Be sure your car works, and as simple as it sounds, be sure you've got gas. Because even if you're lucky enough to get some, you still may be taking your life in your own hands.
Do you realize how dangerous it is?
Yes, I realize. In fact, I was putting the gas in, and an 18-wheeler came by and almost blew me away. Truthfully.
However, what seemed like an innocent public service announcement was, in reality, aired in response to a horrific crime that took place in San Diego just 2 days prior. The victim of this crime was Cara Knott, a 20-year-old honors student at San Diego State University. She spent Christmas Day with her family celebrating the occasion and opening presents. After dinner, she made plans to spend the next couple of days with her boyfriend, Wayne Bautista. Wayne had severe flu at the time, and Cara wanted to nurse him back to health. So she drove to his house and stayed there for the next 2 days. On the 27th of December at around 8 p.m., she called her father, Sam Knott, from her boyfriend's place to let him know that she was on her way home. The drive from Wayne's house should have taken about 30 minutes, but when 2 hours passed with no sign of her, her parents began to worry. At around 10 p.m., Sam suddenly got up from his chair and said to his wife, "I'm gonna go find Cara." With that, he drove to Wayne's house, hoping that Cara would still be there. Unfortunately, Wayne told him that she left soon after she called Sam, and he had no idea where she was. Members of her family and Wayne began looking for her along the route she should have taken back home. However, despite driving around all night, they found nothing that could give them any insight into her whereabouts. Cara had vanished without a trace. That is until 5:15 a.m. when the family decided to drive down the Mercy Road exit ramp off of I-15. There, they found Cara's white Volkswagen Beetle. The driver's side window was halfway down, the keys were still in the ignition, and all of her belongings were still in the car. But there were no signs of Cara herself. The family reported this find to the police, who quickly began searching the area. Not long after this search began, they found Cara's lifeless body 70 feet below a nearby bridge. Later medical examination of her body revealed that she had rope burns around her neck and a mysterious round injury above one of her eyes. After a complete analysis of her injuries, the coroner concluded that she had been strangled before being thrown from the bridge. Other than these injuries, there were no signs of anything being done to Cara. This made it extremely difficult for investigators to pinpoint the killer's motive behind this horrific crime. There were no signs of someone else being in the car either, which also made it difficult to determine why she would drive off the main highway down an abandoned exit on her own. Cara's boyfriend was the last person who saw her alive. This made him the lead suspect in her murder, but he was soon cleared of any suspicion since he was at home recovering from the flu when the crime happened. The only clue investigators had left was a receipt from a Chevron gas station about 15 miles from the crime scene. Cara likely stopped there on her way back. Unfortunately, questioning the gas station employees failed to uncover any new leads, leaving investigators with zero clues for where to look next. Without any other options, investigators turned to the media and broadcasted Cara's disappearance in as many places as they could, asking the public for any useful information. This also included the segment on highway safety with Officer Craig Peyer. Luckily, after these segments aired on TV, the Associated Hotline quickly received over 24 calls from women. However, instead of providing any information regarding Cara, these calls uncovered a far more shocking truth. They said that a patrol officer had pulled them over in the past and told them to drive down the same deserted Mercy Road exit.
What the fuck?
According to these women, this officer kept them there for hours and would even sometimes get in their passenger seats. The officer they were talking about was 36-year-old Craig Peyer, the same man who was preaching on TV about how to stay safe on the highway. Craig tried to disprove
What the
these
fuck? Nigga. Ain't no
Hold on.
fucking
So
way.
he the one that's doing the stuff?
At the beginning, he was the one talking about...
Yeah, on the commercial shit.
Nigga, what the fuck? He did this whole video saying don't do this and don't do that. And this the nigga that did it? This is wild as fuck. This is, bro, this OD, nigga.
A man who was preaching on TV about how to stay safe on the highway. Craig tried to disprove these allegations with his logbook, which showed that he was writing a ticket at the time miles away from the crime scene. However, his logbook had clear eraser marks in that slot. 1 week after the incident, the San Diego Police Department began a formal investigation with Craig as the lead suspect. And it didn't take long for them to find mountains of evidence that proved his involvement. While searching his car, investigators found a yellow rope, which was just as thick as the...
Nigga, in this real life, though.
And this man got all the evidence.
Cause it's real life, though. Nigga, you... Bruh.
This man got the rope and everything.
And this ain't even the clip I seen. It's another part in this video. This shit is wild, but it's wild as hell, cuz.
Involvement. While searching his car, investigators found a yellow rope, which was just as thick as the marks on Cara's neck. They also found his flashlight, which matched the wound above Cara's eye. However, the piece of evidence that sealed the deal was a golden fiber investigators found on Cara's sweatshirt. Forensic analysis of this fiber revealed that it was identical to the gold fibers in the patch on Craig's uniform. By this point, it was clear Craig was the one responsible for this crime. However, he remained adamant that he was innocent. But all the evidence and the testimonies from over 24 women allowed investigators to piece together what might have happened that night. As the story goes, Craig saw Cara driving alone and decided to pull her over down the Mercy Road exit, just like he had done with dozens of women before. However, instead of going along with him, Cara decided to fight back, and maybe even threatened to file a complaint against him. That's when he lost control and hit her with the flashlight in his hand. Upon realizing what he had done, Craig now had two choices. Let Cara go and risk ruining his career, or make sure she never talks to anyone again. Craig chose the second option. After strangling her with a rope, he put her on his car's hood, drove up the bridge, and threw her off the side.
Man, watch out,
crazy,
man.
Bro.
This shit crazy as hell. Bruh, man, look, and it, only reason, I ain't gonna say the only, but one of the reasons why this so crazy, bruh, is because we stay, when folks stay saying stuff like, oh, I ain't gotta watch out for my surroundings, I ain't gotta do this because I ain't in tour with nobody.
And shit like this happen.
And shit like this happen. You ain't, bruh, you ain't gotta be in tour with nobody. You ain't gotta be no gangbang. You ain't gotta be no dope slang or nothing like that for stuff to happen to you. That's why you gotta always be on your P's and Q's.
With the flashlight.
Man, that shit crazy.
Strangled her, then threw her over the bridge.
And you were the one telling folks how to move around and how to, man,
How to
that
be
shit
safe.
wicked.
On January 16th, 1987, Craig was arrested from his home and later sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. He's since applied for parole twice, but was rejected both times and is still behind bars. It's still crazy to think that Cara's case might have gone unsolved if Craig hadn't agreed to do this now haunting video interview. An interview he did where just days before, he had committed the murder of Cara Knott.
This shit wild, boy.
Then he did it days
On June
before.
2nd, 2016, a woman named Christina Kellen posted this video of her pet parrot talking like a human.
All my life, man, that's the craziest shit. I ain't gonna lie. I see people do that all the time. Makes no sense.
On most other occasions, people will look at a video like this, think it's cute or interesting, and move on with their lives.
What's up, mama?
But in this case, the video of a talking parrot became the key to solving a murder, one that baffled investigators for over a year. On May 12, 2015, at around 7:30 a.m., a woman named Connie Ree heard gunshot sounds from her neighbor's house across the street in Sand Lake, Michigan. But she didn't pay much attention to it, since the neighbor, 46-year-old Marty Durham, regularly hunted in the area. Connie and her husband Keith were close friends with Marty and his wife Glenn, and were familiar with the couple's habits. However, later that day, Keith notified Connie and told her that Marty wasn't answering his phone calls or text messages. So after finishing her work, Connie went up to the Durham house to investigate. The doors were locked and no one answered when she knocked. She assumed the couple wasn't home and went back to her house. But when an entire day passed without any word from Marty or Glenn, Connie became concerned and decided to check on them again. This time, she noticed that one of the doors was unlocked and went inside. At first, she found the living room, which was a complete mess. It looked like the place had just been robbed. However, nothing could have prepared Connie for what she came across next. As she entered the master bedroom, she saw both Marty and Glenn lying on the floor, covered in blood. She immediately ran outside and called for help. A group of firefighters was already nearby and rushed to the scene. After taking note of the situation, the first responders pronounced that both Marty and Glenn were already dead.
Damn.
Both had bullet wounds on their bodies, and judging from the state of the rest of the house, it looked like a robbery gone wrong. But before they could begin investigating who the supposed robber was, something completely unexpected happened. About an hour after the initial report, a police officer who was on the scene and noticed that Glenn looked like she was breathing. He walked up to her to check for a pulse, and that's when she opened her eyes and sat up straight despite having a bullet wound behind her ear. She was taken to the hospital for treatment. Miraculously, her wound wasn't lethal, resulting in her surviving the incident. Marty, however, wasn't as fortunate. He was shot 5 different times and didn't make it. Back at their house, investigators found a Ruger new model revolver under a couch in the living room. They also found several cartridges and 1 unused bullet for this revolver on the couple's bed. Investigators believed that this was the weapon used to shoot both Marty and Glenn. But they didn't find anything that could help them locate the supposed intruder. Without any other options, the police began investigating Marty and Glenn in hopes of finding potential leads. That's when they made a chilling discovery. Glenn's phone record showed that on May 11th, 2 days before Marty's body was discovered, she texted her mother saying, "Love you, sorry." Seconds after sending this text, Glenn's phone accessed a web page titled Ruger New Model Single 6 Single Action Revolvers. This was the same gun that was found in their home. After a more thorough search, investigators also found 3 letters written in Glenn's handwriting that were addressed to her children. Similar to the text she sent to her mother, these letters also...
I'm sorry, but I love you. Forgive me.
also contained apologies of sorts. When Glenn finally recovered enough to talk in October of 2016, investigators asked about everything they found. Glenn, however, completely denied ever searching anything about a revolver online and said that she had written the letters a long time ago. When asked about Marty, she claimed that she didn't remember anything relating to his death. At this point, Glenn was the #1 suspect. However, investigators didn't find any solid evidence they could use to bring her in for a proper questioning or make an arrest. After all, it was still possible that the incident was caused by an intruder, especially since Glenn was shot as well. This left Marty's case at a standstill, and it remained that way until June of 2016, when, out of all things, a talking parrot single-handedly solved the case. You see, the African gray parrot in this video was named Bud, who originally belonged to Marty. He was later handed over to Marty's ex-wife, Christina, after his death. The thing about this parrot is that he was in the house when everything went down and witnessed everything. For those who don't know, African gray parrots are among the most intelligent parrot species. They're great at imitating human speech and even understanding the meanings of some words. They're also more likely to repeat what they heard during a high-stress situation. This is why, while in the care of Christina, Bud kept repeating what he heard on that day over and over again.
Probably about a month or so after Bud got here, I would hear him scream and squawk, and it would happen a lot at nighttime. But then one day, literally, he just kept going over and over again, the same and it sounded like 2 different voices. And I was just so freaked out that I took it upon myself to record it.
If we go back to the video of him speaking, we can make out what sounds like an argument between Glenn and Marty.
that's some wild shit.
Nah, that's some scary shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
What the fuck?
Like, this man real deal recorded the whole conversation. He's saying everything.
It sounds just like I ain't heard their voice, but it sounds like that
Yeah,
their
it's
voice
two different
sound.
voices.
You feel me, bro? This some.
Put simply, there was no intruder. Glenn and Marty had an argument where she was yelling and likely had a gun pointed at him. Now, while this video gave necessary insight into what went down, there was no practical way to use a Parrot for testimony and convict Glenn. However, this gave the investigators the confidence they needed to pursue her more intently. They took a DNA sample and later discovered matching DNA on the Ruger revolver, the supposed murder weapon. Further interrogation also revealed the whole truth of why she did what she did. Apparently, Marty had been on disability ever since getting in a car accident a few years back. But he was able to make ends meet by illegally selling his prescription narcotics. He left Glenn in charge of the money he made from his drug business so she could pay off important bills like the house mortgage. Glenn, however, wasted much of this money on gambling and kept lying to Marty about the mortgage payments. Marty eventually learned the truth when the bank announced that it would foreclose the house on May 12, 2015, the same day Glenn shot him to death. Rather than facing the consequences of her own mistake,
bro.
But this shit be wild.
I'm on disability. I'm selling my prescription. I'm giving you the money to take care of everything. And you using all the money to gamble and do whatever else you want to do with it. We get to arguing because of that, because they finna foreclose on the house, and you kill me. Boy. And like you said, this real life.
This
is shit that happen every day, bro.
This shit, bro. This shit.
And not only that, she had to go buy the gun.
Yeah.
She had to go
So
buy the
you
gun.
had to use in that motherfucker.
$800.
Man, shit.
That's crazy.
the same day Glenn shot him to death. Rather than facing the consequences of her own mistake, Glenn decided it was better to orchestrate a robbery gone wrong and take her own life. In the end, Glenn was arrested on the 24th of June 2016 and was later sentenced to life in prison for a crime against her own husband.
So she did try to kill herself, but she was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Because they said the bullet was... Okay. I'm just trying to make sure.
Dumb as hell. Dumb as hell, dog.
On November 18, 2011, at 4:35 a.m., Sydney Fire and Rescue Services responded to an automated fire alarm at the Quakers Hill nursing home. The fire was nothing short of a complete tragedy. As things started calming down, news outlets conducted interviews of the people involved. This included Roger Dean, a nurse who was on duty at the nursing home when the fire erupted.
Hi, I'm Roger. I'm one of the nurses, and just there was a fire, and I just quickly just did what I can, get everyone out, and the smoke is just overwhelming, but you know, we got a lot of people out, so that's the main thing.
They're saying that there's still people unaccounted for. What's happening there?
I'm not sure. The deputy is she's got the list of people there, and yeah,
I'm already knowing what's going on.
Some a little fishy, bro. Yeah,
he did something for sure.
Yeah,
He did something. He knows
100%. You some a little fishy.
Yeah.
Cause I'm being 100. Something like that happen, you finna be way more like tensed up.
Nah,
he
you
like, yeah,
you finna be.
You gonna be shit. I was trying to. Yeah, you can tell he a little bit too calm. Like he did some shit like that before.
It looks like there's still probably a few people, and the people are trying their best to get everyone out at the moment. Yeah.
By the time responders arrived at the scene, the fire had already engulfed a large portion of the building. According to later reports, the fire burned so intensely that even with full protective gear, some firefighters struggled to get close to the flames. What made this already dire situation even worse was that the burning ward housed bedridden dementia patients who were completely unable to escape on their own. Outside, rescue workers could hear the desperate cries for help, but were powerless to act because of the extreme heat. Despite the...
Ooh, I know that. I know them firefighters. To this day, they still think about that.
Oh, yeah. Whoever was right here. Man, some of them folks probably
Them
said,
folks in there
"Fuck
crying
that."
saying, help, and they can't come in there and get them
Well,
folks.
I know a lot of them needed therapy after this, bro. Real talk.
Man.
Some of them probably resigned.
Hell yeah, for real.
After this shit, real talk.
Desperate cries for help, but were powerless to act because of the extreme heat. Despite these difficulties, they managed to get over 100 residents to safety. Among those trying to help, however, was Roger Dean, who rushed in to secure vital medication records before firefighters stopped him from going back into the flames. This man was hiding a disturbing secret beneath the surface.
Here we go.
As it turns out, Roger was the one who started the fire in the first place. It all started with him stealing prescription medication from the nursing home by the hundreds. Just a day before the fire, security cameras caught him accessing the medication closet 36 different times during his shift to steal pills and capsules.
36 times.
However, his luck ran out when other staff members at the nursing home noticed the missing medication and reported it to the police. At this point, Roger knew it was only a matter of time before he got caught. So he came up with the horrible idea to start a fire and steal the medication records during the chaos. And
But
while
this
he
my
managed to
thing.
execute this plan successfully,
You caught on camera. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you trying to burn the medical records and all that, nigga? They still caught your ass though.
So this my thing, cause I'm kind of confused. They caught him on camera before the fire.
Yeah.
Oh well, I don't know what the fuck he did that for then. Cause I thought he was trying to burn it down so he can burn like the camera evidence and all that other shit. That's why I
That's
thought
how
he
they
was
know
trying
he
to
went in
do
there
it.
36 times.
Cause shit, what I thought it was like he tried to burn it down,
Right, yeah.
and he wasn't able to burn the whole
like,
thing
you just
down.
tryna- right.
So they was able to get the camera from that. That's how I thought it was. I thought he was trying to burn the whole thing down, but he was unsuccessful burning the whole thing down. So they still was able
caught
to
it,
recover
yeah.
the cameras
Probably
to
so.
find
They
out.
probably had one.
That's probably
They
how it
probably
went.
had one.
Which is dumb as hell, but it's like
You
niggas just
was
be,
unsuccessful. You know
on
what I'm saying?
me.
It's like, if you gonna do it, man, I'm just being real. You gotta make sure you know.
my head need trip.
where he got caught. So he came up with the horrible idea to start a fire and steal the medication records during the chaos. And while he managed to execute this plan successfully, the fire also resulted in 11 elderly residents losing their lives to the flames. After he was arrested, Roger came up with the most bizarre excuse to explain his actions.
And
It
shit.
was like,
And that's why I'm confused, because when they was like, he basically set the fire to steal the medical records, they ain't say nothing about, he trying to make sure he burned down the camera evidence and all this other stuff. Like, it's almost like he didn't even know he was on camera or some shit. How they making it sound, I don't know.
I don't know.
But either way, like you said, it's
Man, his ass,
it's
11 elderly
It's
people.
over
Man, your ass out of there.
It's over with.
Them folks finna give his ass that book.
Our excuse to explain
Look
his
at his ass.
actions.
it was like Satan saying to me that it's the right thing to do.
In actuality, there was no Satan or demon telling him to start the fire in the nursing home. He was just a prescription meds junkie who committed a horrendous crime while trying to cover his tracks.
He wasn't
Later
even selling the meds, he
investigation
taking
even
the meds.
uncovered footage of him admiring his handiwork on the morning of the fire. The seemingly innocent video of him being interviewed now carries a much more disturbing tone. He stood trial in the Supreme Court in May 2013 and was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole for 11 counts of murder.
That man was a junkie the whole time.
Freedom. It's a
I don't think he's selling this shit.
I'm sure, like, he probably
you can
selling
do
this shit.
whatever you
The whole time he was
On May 16, 1992,
This is the one I seen.
Crazy.
Nigga. From the little clip I seen, this is the one that had me like, what the fuck?
Damn, bro.
On May 16, 1992, Mexican singer-songwriter Chalino Sanchez gave one of his best performances to date. He performed many of his popular songs before ending the concert in spectacular fashion. The fans loved every second of it. Little did they know at the time, this was going to be the last time they would ever see him perform. And it all tied back to the origin of Chalino's music. You see, Chalino was born in 1960 in a very poor farming region in Sinaloa, Mexico. Even worse than poverty, Chalino's village was marked by rampant inequality, where a few rich and powerful men had the power to do whatever they wanted. Unfortunately, Chalino experienced this inequality firsthand when a local thug named El Chapo Perez assaulted one of his sisters. However, Chalino wasn't gonna let that slide. When he was just 15 years old,
I ain't gotta see shit else.
However, Chalino wasn't gonna let that slide. When he was just 15 years old, he spotted El Chapo at a party, and without a second thought, Chalino went up to El Chapo, drew his gun, and killed him at point-blank range. But since El Chapo...
Hold on, what?
He spotted El Chapo at a party, and without a second thought, Chalino went up to El Chapo, drew his gun, and killed him at point-blank range. But since El Chapo...
What? He went up to El Chapo and killed him at point blank range.
Keep playing it, huh?
Chapo was a well-connected man. Killing him forced Chalino to flee to Tijuana before crossing the border into the U.S.
That's the part I seen. I seen this little snippet. This literally like the little 5 seconds just played. I said, oh yeah, we gotta do that. Cause nigga, what?
That shit crazy.
And I ain't, well, I'm gonna wait till it get done. Cause I did a little bit more research on this, but I'm gonna wait till it get done.
Forced Chalino to flee to Tijuana before crossing the border into the U.S. After establishing a foothold in America, Chalino went into business with his brother in Mexico, smuggling Mexicans into the U.S. However, this operation came to an end in 1984 when his brother was killed in a hotel in Tijuana. This inspired Chalino to write a song commemorating his brother, but he did so in the most unconventional way. The song was written in a traditional Mexican style called corrido. For the lyrics, Chalino spoke openly about him and his brother's life, not shying away from the topics of drugs and violence. During this time, he himself ended up in prison in Tijuana. There, other inmates loved his unique style of music, causing it to spread across the Mexican underworld by the time he got out. It also gained a new name called narco corrido. After getting out of prison, Chalino kept working on his music and quickly became one of the biggest stars of his era. By 1991, he was selling out arenas for his tour. However, given the genre of his music, he never managed to escape the violence he once came from. During one of his concerts in January of 1992, someone ran onto the stage with a gun. Instead of running to safety, Chalino decided to draw his own gun and engage in a shootout. This resulted in the death of the assailant as well as 10 people in the crowd getting injured. Chalino also got shot but managed to survive. However, his luck was about to run out. About 5 months later, Chalino performed in Culiacan, Mexico, delivering what would later be remembered as one of his best performances. And, as we mentioned earlier, also his last. During the concert, someone came up to him and handed him a mysterious note. In the footage from that concert, we can clearly see Chalino read the note, become visibly shaken by it, begin sweating, and stare into the crowd for a very long time before resuming the performance. Near the end of this concert, Chalino made sure to properly say goodbye to everyone, including his friends and fans. Shortly after the concert ended, Chalino was kidnapped and executed with a bullet to the back of his head. The note he received on stage essentially said something along the lines of, "We're going to kill you after this performance." Chalino knew the threat was real, and that this performance we see in the video would be his last one. Unfortunately, the identities of the killers were never uncovered.
Damn. Nigga. This some wild shit.